Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
Eddie Woodens.
And tonight we're going to be talking about A24's latest movie, which came out in theaters in a wide release, which is pretty good that they did that. It's the newest horror film out called Hereditary, which is directed by Ari Aster and stars Toni Collette, Alex Wolff, Millie Shapiro, and Gabriel Byrne. And this film is the story of a mother who, after the death of her mother, to keep it at the most minimum spoilers as I can, the film deals basically with this family by this mother played by Toni Collette, and she goes through a lot of the motions after her mother passes, and she's also going through a lot of things that involve with her family, which includes Gabriel Byrne and her son and her daughter. I'm going to keep it at that because I really don't want to go into more detail. But basically, if you get from the trailers, This is
one of those movies that we can't really go into more detail. Let's just say that some things start happening and some crazy crap starts happening, and we'll just leave it from there because this is one of those things that the trailers isn't really what you see in the movie.
Yeah, but
they really try to trick you.
Yeah, now here's some backstory. Now, as you know, that me and Eddie have been watching some of these A24 films that have been coming out lately, and for the most part, they've had a majority of good ones that have come out. I think the last two great ones I enjoyed were The Disaster Artist and Green Room. But every now and then,
Disaster Artist did The Gift also.
Yeah, no, that wasn't them.
That wasn't them, but it felt like them. But anyways, that Green Room and Disaster Artist has been among my favorites of theirs.
But every now and then they'll at least come out with films that are very divisive among audiences and critics, because when it comes to their horror films, it seems like you're either going to have you're not going to find really necessarily a middle ground, because much like this, and also if It Comes at Night that came out last year, there's people that are going to either love it or you're going to have a lot of people that hate it. And I think that, to me, it benefits it with this studio, because it feels like they know what they're doing with their audiences, but you're having time to really please everybody. But anyway, I went into this film with very high expectations, actually, because when I saw the trailers for it all the time, and it just really got me curious, because I like this kind of this sort of thing that they're going for, at least from the trailers, where it's kind of like, it's dealing with grief, and you have some stuff that happens later in the film that turns out, and it really gives you that intensity.
You're led to believe in the trailers that this girl is somewhat of an evil force.
Yeah.
And that's what I got from the trailers, and I was actually really looking forward to this film.
Yeah.
I actually, for the first time, that isn't something like Michael Myers or Jason or Freddy or Jigsaw. This was like a horror film that actually got me invested, because other films, other than The Conjurings, a lot of paranormal films, if you guys know our history, don't get into these little new millennial 2018-ish paranormal films, and a lot of them we trash.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Just a lot of them is majority lazy writing, aside from The Conjurings, and maybe even I'll be nice and give the Insidious or the Sinister. But other than that, if it ain't Freddy, Jason, and all them, it seems like all these new ideas, they spin one trash after another. And him and I were kind of pretty much not really impressed with It Comes at Night last year.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit of praise more than you did, but I still agree it definitely was underwhelming. But for this one, I can honestly say that, and this is probably going to be something we haven't really had in a while, where I really did enjoy this film a lot, and I can honestly say that it was worth the hype for me.
Yeah, for me, I walked out heavily disappointed, and I felt like I was really, really let down. I wasn't asking for what I was hoping for in the trailers, but I thought, they would have done something clever. I was expecting A24 to do something clever, and to me, I wasn't impressed with it at all. I was highly kind of pissed off when I walked out.
I can understand that. Well, to get into some of my pros to start out with, Toni Collette, who plays the mother in this, she was outstanding in this. You can really see a lot of the emotions she goes through, especially with the fact that she lost her mother, and later on when you find out more about her character and everything, she starts to come across as like very on the verge of breaking down, and she struggles so much with her family throughout this movie to the point that you really feel the intensity for her. You really do.
Yeah, and now, like I said, this movie, as much as it pissed me off, I have a little pros to this film that I'll add and get it over with, since he'll have way more pros than I will. For one, I agree with only thing I do agree, a couple things I'll probably agree with you on. Yes, Toni Collette, she did outstanding. Her performance was great. It was convincing, and I think, I don't know much about her. I've seen her in dozens of films, so it's kind of hard to compare roles, but but this was a big standout role for her, and you can still praise somebody's performance in a film that you don't like.
Yeah, but I also
and I praise her the most, like, highly on that. I mean, she was damn good. Another pro, probably the only thing it was shot beautiful. The cinematography, A24, what can I say? It's good. Yeah. They're always good. And this film was shot well. And I did like some of the disturbing gore. I didn't see it. I didn't think it was going to be a gory film, and that surprised me. But other than that, I'll get in my cons after he gets through his pros. That's only the three things I liked.
Fair enough. Well, to get into some other pros, I also enjoyed, like you were saying, with the cinematography and the way it's shot. I really enjoy the way that it has the music. It's very intense, and you have a lot of the way that the direction's going, where you have her trying to get through all this, but also her kids are also dealing with this same matter as well, especially her son in the film that goes through a lot of it. And there's something that happens later on in the film that I don't want to spoil, but there's something that prompts him to really like it feels like he's drained. And when it happens, man, like the entire film just feels like a whole roller coaster for me, like going through so much that I honestly felt like I was like there with them the whole time, like I was shaking. Like that's how intense I was throughout this movie, because
I'm questionable with the boy, even though he does give a drained performance towards the end, where it looks like he's been through some shit, which I give him that. But there were some things that he did that I kind of like, and one of them, it basically, I hate to say it, but I kind of feel like he kind of didn't do good on his crying scenes, should I say.
I'll give you that.
One of them, it kind of almost made me fucking laugh.
I'll give you that. Yeah, his performance.
There was one where I just feel like his cry. He's like, I'm like, oh, come on, don't do that, because it just feels like whenever some people they force the cry so hard, it's just like it doesn't feel convincing. It feels like it was so pushed, it's noticeable, and that's what I got out of some of his really. He was trying to be very emotional, but his cry. It just felt like it just made me think of a bad acting movie. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, at least that part, I'll say it really took back a little bit for me, because I was like, oh, that feels really out of place. But also to get some other pros, like one of my other biggest strong points as far as the story was throughout the film. There's basically a psychological feel that the film kind of takes, and I can't go into detail without spoiling it, but the way that the movies kind of lead you on and everything, it actually does something very unique where it pulls like a 180, and it kind of makes me, it actually like really makes me think as when I'm going along, because I'm like, okay, is this happening here, or is this all like, or else something else going on? I like that the film is not it's very ambiguous.
Kind of remind me of kind of like, like, is this kind of like Split or something like that? That's what kind of made me think of. I'm like,
I guess
if there's a little psychological point I'm not going to point out, but it involves the mother, and then just makes you think of the movie. Like, is this like Split? It's making you questioning things.
I can see that, but I think what I'm trying to say is that the way that the film, the way the direction's going with the story, it really makes you really think. And I'll leave it at that because, again, this is something that I want to go into detail, but I'm very, I don't want to spoil anything. But I'm just saying that the film had so much like going on for it, as far as the way that the characters are having to like go through the motions, and there's something later, there's a plot point that comes in later on that I also got behind, because when you see basically a character that's introduced, you are actually questioning the logic that's happening in the overall film, and I'll just leave that as a hint to is what I'm trying to say. So I love that, and I also enjoyed.
Is that what your pros?
Well, I also enjoyed the way that the film has probably one of the most disturbing endings I've seen, probably since Mother, because when the shit goes down toward the end, like, I was at a loss of words. I really was.
Yeah, well, the ending I'm like 50-50 on. It was disturbing. It kind of like, wow. But then again, I just feel like, and I'll get to my cons in a second, what I think it was trying to be too much like. And I can see it was kind of like a forced ending, and I've seen quite a few people really be very mixy with the ending when I've talked to quite a few people today. I'll get into that here in a little while, but yeah, if you got any more pros, if not, I'll start on my con.
Okay, but I mean, I also enjoyed the other performances, but yeah, I'll agree with you on the boy. I felt like he was good, but he was also bad in at least those couple of parts. So that's really my biggest pros. I would say, the movie did keep me going. I wasn't bored. I was invested throughout the film, and I really kept I felt like I was drained after the movie was over. Like, that's how disturbed I was. I mean, I don't say that a lot with a lot of horror films until it comes to a movie that pushes its kind of originality, if that makes sense, in these type of movies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, I'm going to start with my con. This is what I think is probably the biggest con I have out of all my other cons I have with this, and this can be very decisive, which depend on what film you're talking about, and this can be in different ways. My problem was the fucking pacing. This is what really drew me out of the film. There's movies that have like a kind of a little minor pacing issue. There's a moderate pacing issue. Very rarely do you watch a film where the pacing is so bad it actually knocks it out a lot of points. And this is one of the first films in a while that just the pacing alone damn near ended me with this movie completely. It was, to me, there was the beginning, which, okay, it's going to lead into something. Then there's that shocking thing that happened, I'm not going to say, that kind of, oh, and then the ending, depending on what I'm talking about in the ending, I was like, whoa, that was cool. But in between, I really was fucking bored. I actually my girlfriend went and saw this movie with me, and she had to almost wake me up 3 times. I was actually wide awake going into this. I was not tired. I was motivated. I was just really hyped up, and that shit put me to sleep. The longer it kept going, I'm like, I was like, get to the fucking point, please. I'm like, what is it leading into? I get that it's trying to do stuff, but it just wasn't grabbing me. I don't know what it was. It just wasn't grabbing me, and it just made it worse for me, and it made me. I actually, like I said, I almost had to get woke up 3 times because I just was passing out. I was so ungodly bored with what they were doing. And then I watched this. A couple of people in my theater actually passed out, and we heard one dude snoring, and then we actually had a lot of people walk out halfway through the movie.
Oh, wow.
And I can't blame them. I really can't. I mean, aside from some pros, man, the movie, to me, just that pacing just really just... They went really too damn slow with that. And I get that they were trying to build something. I just wasn't interested in it. It just was not something... I didn't care for it. Maybe if they would have went with the way I thought they were going to trailers, I might have been grabbed more. But I just didn't like what they were doing. I mean, it was on and off. Like, it was like one of those films, like, okay, I'm getting interested, but then I'm not. I don't know what it was. It just was, I was just not liking anything I was seeing. And, the boy, I didn't really wasn't really strong with him. I was really interested in the little girl, though. I will say that, but still, it's like I was really more interested in that.
Yeah, I got you.
I do kind of feel like the movie was trying to, like it knew that Mother made something groundbreaking, even though that movie wasn't like unbelievably good. Mother was a groundbreaking film, kind of, because it took shit to another level, limits broken in that film. I feel like they were trying to take too much from that, trying to be that shock and awe like Mother did, and it's just I was like. It was so noticeable. I was just like, okay, you're just trying to be like Mother.
I can understand your viewpoints, and I can definitely understand your.
It just I didn't but like I said, it was so boring. Like 90% of the movie, I was bored. It was just the beginning and end that I was interested in.
I understand. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I will admit there were maybe a couple times where the pacing got me to a little bit. It could have had some trimming, no doubt. It didn't have to be a little over 2 hours. I agree with that. But I will say that because I was getting into the themes surrounding the guilt and a lot of the stuff that goes through with the family and everything, I think this is kind of a film much like Mother, where I myself, if I was to watch it again, I think I can pick up on certain things as well that would probably help me understand, well, not understand, but kind of see a little bit more of the different things that go on in the movie. Because the film, like you were saying, it does definitely have some kind of risky stuff that basically Mother did, but I don't think it necessarily kind of ripped it off, if that makes sense. I feel like it was trying to push its own like new ground and trying to really do something, with its own merit, because it's actually foreshadowed throughout the film, and I actually, if I look back throughout the rest of it, you can actually like see it more, like with what's happening.
And then that ending, I mean, like I said, I'm very mixed with the ending. Graphically, with the gruesome shit, that was fucking cool, and then that shit at the very dead end was like really like shocking. But but like I said, I'll go back to my pacing complaint. This isn't just a movie that, the beginning, like you had like the first, like 20 minutes of it was slow, and then it finally kicked in the high gear. This movie legitly is very, very, very slow moving, and to me, it was moving slower than a fucking slug. And that's what drew me out to where I got at the end. I was exhausted, like you were, but I was exhausted in a bad way because I was so fucking bored with it. It just finally, like, the ending, I just couldn't enjoy the ending. I seen that they were trying to do something cool, but I was so thrown out of the movie. I'm just like, it's like equivalent to me coming in the theater right before the movie was over with and watching the ending. Like, you'd be like, well, I can't feel anything because I didn't see the whole movie. I felt like that. I'm like, I just can't enjoy anything because I'm not getting into this.
I understand, yeah.
So, it wasn't for me, I guess. And it's a disappointment because I was really looking forward to this.
I see that, yeah. I mean,
So,
you had more.
And I mean, I don't know what else I could really say that will spoil anything, but I don't know what else. Anything else you want to add to?
No, not really. I mean,
your cons?
Like I said, my only minor cons I really had was, like I said, with the boy and just a little bit of the pacing. But overall, this was a film that, much like The Witch a couple years ago, that's another film that I feel like you as well were kind of on the same level with. It really grabbed me with its atmosphere and the way the story really moved along for me. So with that, overall, I'll say that I do highly enjoy it, but I do understand why you didn't like it, and I respect that. And overall, I'm going to give the film a phenomenal grade.
Yeah, I'm going to give this movie, it almost got flatlined with me, but because there were some things that I kind of gave a second thought on, I changed it a little bit. So with that, I'm going to give this a disaster grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Fair enough. Well, for those of you who have also seen Hereditary,
and it's a pretty low disaster grade at that. Like, it's just borderline almost bad.
Fair enough. Well, for those of you who have also seen Hereditary, let us know in the comments below of what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out more of our reviews at our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.